The Volvo EC480D is a medium-sized excavator with an operating weight in the range of 48 to 50 tonnes. This model of it comes in a Volvo branded box and it's got a nice photo of the real machine on the back. But there's no other information about it provided. The box is factory sealed with a bit of tape over the end flap, and if you've got fingernails and a bit of dexterity then you can peel it off. Opening up the box, the model's contained inside in a couple of plastic formers, and these just have to be separated to get the model out. Once you get the model out, there's no assembly to do because it's complete out of the box. So once again, repeat after me, the model's complete out of the box. The bottom of the undercarriage is a plastic plate, as is the plate underneath the body, but there is some counterweight mechanism detail. The metal tracks are detailed and they look good, and although the track frames are fairly simple, they look good too. The cab is well detailed inside and there's a tiny Volvo graphic on the door handle on the outside. The windscreen wipers, grab rails and mirrors are all modelled in plastic. There's a slight colour difference between the yellow of the cab and the yellow of the body, but the deep painted grills look good and there's some nice detailed graphics. At the front there's a thin plastic handrail, but there's some good hydraulics detailing on the main rams. Looking from above, it's good to see the counterweight detachment mechanism modelled. On top of the body there's some decent textured walkways and there's plenty of hydraulic hoses running up the boom. In fact, the hydraulics on the model do look pretty good on the whole, and the stick detailing includes a warning graphic and just the connection rivet needed a spot of paint. However, one thing to note is that the hydraulic rams are all plastic, including the pistons. So although they look okay, they are quite flexible, so in posing the model you just have to make sure that the rams aren't curved. The bucket is a nicely cast all metal item, and again it just needed some paint on the rivets. In addition to the CranesEtcTV website, another place you can visit is the CranesEtcTV Facebook page. It's a place where you can find update information about the website and also where you can comment on the models. And of course, for the Facebook page and the model reviews, if you like it, you can like it. Okay, let's get digging on the CranesEtcTV earthworks site, and the tracks are too stiff to roll on a smooth surface, and actually they're quite stiff to move by hand. They are spring loaded for tension and maybe they would free up a bit if they were turned a few times, but let's give it a test anyway on a rougher surface, and the friction in the tracks is higher than their grip on the surface so they won't roll. Rotating the EC480D though is fine, it's quite smooth and there's no rocking at all in the mechanism. And there's another interesting feature on the body, which is the opening engine cover. That lets you take a look at a reasonable plastic engine, and it's nice to have a feature like this which gives some different posing possibilities. Let's now move on to the main event, which is the digging functionality, and there's a very decent range of movement on the bucket. The stick movement also has quite a full range, and the model doesn't overbalance when it's at maximum reach. Also, it's good to see that there's enough stiffness in the cylinders on this model that most poses can be held without them bleeding down. The other thing you can do is to fold up the boom and stick quite small, so if you wanted to pose it as a load on a low loader, then it will do that just fine. However, there is one pose that it can't do properly, and that is digging at depth. So if you lift the model up, you can see that the boom cylinders won't fully retract. And it's not an issue of the hydraulics, it arises because the connection point of the boom to the body isn't detailed to allow full movement. It's now time once again for a genuine imitation real life test. So let's get the 480 loading up a Volvo dump truck. It reaches high enough to be able to load into the ADT, and a flick of the left hand control mechanism empties the bucket. Overall, this is a good looking Volvo excavator by Motorart. It has some nice detailing, but the functionality could be improved, and some of the parts that are plastic would have been higher quality if they'd been made of metal. But if you like Volvo models, then it's recommended.